All right, welcome to episode 170 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me this week, once again, we have Chase.
G'day.
And Steven.
Meow.
And Steven's cat.
Echo.
I'm not
Hello.
sure the cat's name.
Echo.
It's what?
His name is Echo because he does small beeps when he's walking around.
Hilarious. All right, well, it has been a fun week of things that we will talk about. Rachel is off doing her usual thing, and Chris, I think, still exists. I haven't heard from him in a while. So I just rely on if Steven tells me if he's still alive.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's always good to know. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into what we've been doing then. Chase, we'll start with you. What you been doing? What you been up to?
Other than the games that we'll talk about a little bit later, I've been playing Sunderfolk, which just came out earlier this week. It's quite a fun game. It's
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's so you actually play it through this on your TV. So it's on, I think, like PlayStation, Xbox, PC.
Oh,
but
wait,
then
I think maybe I heard something about this listening to a podcast while I was driving earlier today. I think I know what you're talking about. I just didn't catch the name. I hope it's the same.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So when I signed up for the beta, they asked me if I had played the game. The litmus test was: have you played For the King, 1 or 2, Gloomhaven, Dungeons and Dragons, and I can't remember what the last one was. And I was like, well, shit, like sign me up because I've played all of these. So I was like, sweet, I'm good. But basically what it is you start up the game on your system, but then you scan a QR code, and then this is your controller for the rest of it. And you get like ability cards. You can it's turn-based, so it's like it's a hexagonal grid. You can move, attack things. Yeah.
That's cool.
The characters, there's like 6 preset characters. There's like a wizard, a barbarian, a rogue, a pyromancer, and I can't remember, I think some of the other ones, but they're and it's all animals. The characters are all it's based in like this fantasy like animal kingdom thing. And it's actually really fun. I played it with 2 players, just Shano and I, when it came out, and then last night we had had some people over for a rugby party, and then afterwards one of the mates stayed behind, and we were like, oh, what do you want to try it? And he said sure. So we played it with 3 players, and the enjoyment's definitely a little bit more. I think like I definitely want to try it with 4, because when you have 2 players and you go up to 3, like all of a sudden your turn economy becomes more, and so like there's more things that you can do and accomplish and get done. So it's actually like quite it is quite enjoyable.
How many players can it go up to?
4, I think.
Okay.
So, but it's only couch co-op, and surprisingly, yeah, I'm assuming so.
The thing is, and I'll go back and check, when I was listening to it with that other show, they said if someone streams it, like say if I get it and stream it on Discord, other people around the world can scan the QR code and join in. It still works.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
I might have to get this, because then we might be able to try it out and see how that works. I'm willing to take that chance.
Kind of like
That's quite interesting.
Kind of like
Jackbox, you can do the same thing. If you're streaming it, everybody can join in.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because the room codes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting idea. I never thought about it that way. It might be something we have to try later.
Yeah. What do you have it on?
Oh, so Shanoa got it on her PS5 because that's what's hooked up to the lounge TV, the main room. But the all you need is the app. It doesn't matter what system somebody has it on, as long as you can scan the QR code. Only one person technically needs the game.
Yeah, we just need to figure out a way to stream it from each location, which I've got the stuff set up here. I don't know how much streaming stuff you guys have for that, but like I could stream it through Discord and we could try it out.
Yeah.
So, hey, who knows? That'd be kind of neat. That's funny you brought that up after I just heard about it earlier today and was like, I wonder what they're talking about.
Well, Steven was the one that put me onto it, because he sent this to me and he was like, this actually looks pretty fun and it's a neat idea. And then so then I showed it to Shanoa, and then she thought it was like this really cool idea. And so then one of our mates, not the one that was playing with us last night, but another one, he really likes co-op games, and he actually sent us the thing saying that it finally had a release date. And so we were like, oh man, this is awesome. So
Yeah, I just got it from a post one day, and I was like, oh, strategy. Like, let me send this over to him.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. I was just saying to Swando, like, kind of surprised this isn't on the Switch of all things, because like it's feels like the most non-Nintendo thing I've seen, where it's like it's this actually quite interesting idea and it's something different, but it's not on the console of the company that's known for trying different ideas.
Yeah, and it would be kind of neat because like you could do local co-op with like one person on the TV and then connect switches. You wouldn't even need the phone; like you could do it locally.
Yeah, the only thing
as an option.
The only thing Nintendo's tested with phone players so far is everybody 1-2 Switch.
Yeah.
So I can get it on Steam. So that's not bad. I might have to look into that.
Yeah, it's on PC, Xbox,
that'd be
and
the
PlayStation.
Easiest. I could because just like we've done before, Steven, I could just stream it from here right onto Discord and we could try it out.
It's worth a shot. Like if it goes on sale or something, so that way, just in case it doesn't work, you're not out.
But
although you'd probably still have fun.
I say we all know I'm very impatient. I will.
Yeah, but
I have ADHD. We don't wait for shit. That's cool though. I'm definitely glad to hear how it works and how you guys have enjoyed it.
And it's quite a simple. It's beautiful in its simplicity, because it's not like you can. There's a lot of things you can do that like you can deep dive into it if you're like really want to think tactically, but at the same time, it's just a very simple game that's actually like done very well. So I enjoy it, actually.
I mean, it also sounds like something I could have fun playing locally with my kids, and maybe even give Amanda a try with it and see if it's something she might like.
She's actually. Games. I think, actually, that's what I was thinking too. Is you probably be all right with that, even if the streaming part didn't work, you'd still be able to do it locally with some friends and family.
Yeah, so it's a safe bet. All right. Well, that's cool. Yeah, we'll have to look into that later and see what we got going on. So, Steven, what about you? What you been doing?
Well, surprisingly, my ZZZ has been pretty minimal. Just doing the dailies real quick, even though there's new stuff to do. Only because
ZZZ mode.
Only because Game Pass is controlling my life. I'm still playing Blueprints. I'm in what's called day 26. That's basically how many runs you've done so far. And it's one of those games that if you play it and you talk to somebody else about it, they'll understand. But if somebody's just listening to you, they won't understand a thing you're talking about. Like it's that kind of game.
I'm eventually gonna get this game.
Some people are finally hitting the credits, but they're saying the post credits is where the game really opens up. And I was like, well, shit. I need to get further in this, and Chris is playing it simultaneously, so we're like sharing notes and stuff like that of what we found out.
Oh, nice.
It is dangerous like Tetris. If you play it for too long, you will have dreams where everything you're doing has like an objective. So it's like that. It'll invade your thoughts. I've also, to take me out of Blueprints for a while, I wanted to try it out and see how good it was. And it was called Crime Scene Cleaner. It is basically if House Flipper and Power Wash got together, because you're just cleaning up all these crime scenes and trying to put everything back the way it was, so it looks like nothing ever happened there.
So I have to ask: is it trying to go for realistic graphics or cartoony?
Realistic. The only thing that's not realistic. The only thing that's not realistic is because there's ragdoll physics, because you have to pick up the bodies and throw them in the back of your truck, and they instantly go into body bags. But there's specific like type of sponges, power wash. There's other things that aerate. Like there's all these tools you use to basically get everything out of everything, so to make it look like nothing ever happened. Which is really neat, because I like basically like walking through, make sure I cleaned everything up and got 100% of everything, and like there's a story unfolding. Mm-hmm. I won't spoil any of the levels, but they can get pretty involved after a while. Especially when you're
There has to
wondering
at least
like
be
what's
one mob hit.
especially when you're wondering what's out of place, like what got knocked down that you have to put back sometimes. Because you have to reset the scene and you're not shown what it used to look like, but you have like the power wash sense that can glow if you want to use it.
Gotcha.
And then lastly, the one that's taking the gaming world by storm right now, the AA title known as Clair Obscure Expedition 33.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call it French Persona. Some people call it Final Fantasy. It is unapologetically French, but it's a turn-based RPG, but you have to parry and block, or no, sorry, parry and dodge when you're in battles. It was made by a team of 30 who took them 5 years. And
Just hired 3 more people.
And basically,
so it should be 33.
I know. It is incredibly depressing game. So it even warned you in the beginning. There's gonna be scenes of suicide and depression, and all other stuff. Like it goes dark on you.
Holy shit!
There's already somebody who's another studio that has option to make it live action. So that they want to make it into like a TV show or something, where you watch that. And they said if you ever want to know what the game is like, you can watch the movie Annihilation.
Oh god, that is oppressive.
So
that is
they
so
said
oppressive.
Annihilation will get you into the mindset of Clair Obscure Expedition 33. So of some of the things it does that mirrors it. It's not the plot for plot exact, but some of the things the game does that is a very nice touch is in the movie Annihilation. So now I have to go see Annihilation.
Oh, you've never watched it?
No.
Yeah, that's an oppressive movie. You're gonna watch that and be like, I don't know what to think now. Like that was. It's a good movie, but it is one that is very interesting to watch.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll be checking that out now because the more I keep reading about these developers and how they made this by themselves with no big AAA support, they got to make the game they always wanted to make. So
it's definitely one I want to pick up. I just need to get it in there. But I'll go ahead and jump into what I've been up to. So I've been traveling around last week, running around for work. This week I'll actually be home, but then the next 2 weeks I'm going to be gone. I will come back long enough on the weekend, so we're still doing the show, but I might need help with notes, so we'll see.
Yeah.
And then, just kind of going from that. But on my last flight, I'm going to say hi to Mac, which is a guy that I met at the airport on my way home. Noticed he had a Ghostbusters Stay Puft Marshmallow Man tattoo on his arm. And then, of course, he had stories about how him and his brothers would travel and all the other tattoos he got done, which was kind of fun. But then we sat there and played Smash Brothers for like almost 2 hours, just linked system to system, because his flight and my flight were both delayed, and we're just kind of waiting. I think I convinced him to get a Switch 2 also, because he didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, well, you've asked the right person. So I just sat there and pontificated about it the whole time. Hopefully, he actually joined the Discord, so he's over there. You can find that over at bit.ly/Zenspath Discord if you want to join us and talk as well. He said he listened to the show. I haven't heard anything else since, so I don't know if he's still listening to us or if we scared him off. I don't know. But if not, we're here. Yeah. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition or whatever, Deluxe Edition, whichever one. I'm still playing. It's kind of hit its stride where I'm just doing a bunch of side missions so I can jump in, do something kind of quick for a couple of those and go back. I did finally find the new Skell, the armor that they made for the new one that looked almost like a Gundam, kind of with the big jetpacks and stuff. Controls beautifully. Like when you're flying around at high speed, it's like precision movement. I was like, oh, this is great. And then I went to fight with it and went, oh my God, this sucks. It's nope. I immediately went back to my old one going like, no. I'm getting my ass kicked in this one. And you can't level up a Skell. I'll try and buy it again when I level higher and I can buy a level 50, but the level 30 version, the big green one that I had was just beating all kinds of ass. I'm like, all right, I'll stick with awkward driving in car mode and just slowly tromp around just to have it work. So, but I'm still having fun with it. I started playing some Sniper Elite 3 Ultimate Edition on Series X. which was such a change in pace after we played Zombie Army Trilogy. Because that was kind of funny. This is slow. Like, I have to take my time, mark people.
But it's funny.
It is. I feel kind of bad shooting people in the junk because I'm like, oh, they're not zombies. That's
you gotta put bullet cam on often. X-ray.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty good ones. I was talking to Chase about it before the show, and like I shot 2 guys in the junk, and it didn't actually do the X-ray. It just showed him kind of bend over as it hit him from the side. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, you have to really hit like one piece of their sack and watch the other one hanging. So
I felt bad for one guy. I hit him right across the temple and blew his eyes off. And I was like, oh, God.
I love blowing the helmets off, or getting the close up when they run over a mine. I love doing that. I don't like anybody on the road. Chase knows that. Nobody's allowed to drive around, so I just put stuff everywhere, and I'm like, oh, looks like somebody hit it.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to do traps and stuff while I'm taking over sniper dens. I did find one spot. It's like, kill this lieutenant or whatever from a sniper den, and I got up to where it told me to go, and I shot the guy, and then apparently it told me, oh yeah, you got to click the button here, you move a box, and it becomes a sniper den. And I was like, well, I guess I missed out on that. Like, I'm standing here, but it doesn't count. But I do want to try co-op with one of you guys at some point, just to kind of mess around with it. But I got it. It was like $9 where I found it while I was traveling, which ironically, I had bought the 360 version before, and I haven't even played that one yet. So now I have it on Xbox One, which is not too bad. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm still trying to find Sniper Elite, I think 4. And then the new one, I'm trying to find the Xbox version because I want to play with that with you guys as well. But yeah, I've got a little sniper collection going on so far. Just you guys have started this one. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the group chat. All right, so first off, because I know Steven's going to wait until some random time to say it later.
Jinkies.
There we go. That's become half the joke. I'm waiting for one of these days. You're probably going to wait to the entire show and just do it at the end. First off, we jumped back into Helldivers 2 last week, and that was a lot of fun. We blew each other up as usual because none of us have learned to say, hey, we're dropping something. All we usually hear is, Jeremy,
Chase,
you probably don't want to be there.
Chase thought he was playing Hitman, and I was the elusive target, so he made sure to put turrets wherever I was standing.
Well, I got the mech suit, and I think I stepped on you, Chase, like once or twice. I'm walking around, and you're like, what's going on? Smash. My bad. Oh, game's still fun. There's so much DLC that we have not paid for that it's just like, I don't know if I want to buy all of that. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate too, though, because I think the player base kind of fell off a little bit, and then they started. Some of the stratagems now are actually tied to the war bonds.
Yeah, that was I think like, I think a nail in the coffin for some people. It's one thing to build up towards like the new guns, new flags, new capes and stuff, but to say like, oh, the stratagems we're going to lock behind things, it's like, come on, like we worked hard enough to unlock those, and if you want us to keep playing, like that's the incentive right there.
Yeah, especially for some of the stuff we're collecting, and it's like, all right, you've maxed it out. It's like, well, I can't use it unless I give you actual money.
And then they feel bad, and they're like, well, kill 1 billion bugs and we'll give you the car. And I'm like, okay, I'll let them kill 1 billion bugs and I'll get the car.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. It's weird. It's like they chose to they chose to have some stratagems tied to a war bond, but then like we got the car for, fine. So it was like, why they decided to do that, I'm not sure. But I don't know. Like, yeah, the game is, every time that we get into it, it's just absolute fun and chaos and everything that it should be. Also on the Helldivers 2 front.
Shouldn't be there. That's how I find out.
Yeah, well, I usually tell you guys, just maybe after you get blown up, okay? Like,
I just try and pay attention if your
I
icon
think the game tells me
away.
who killed me before you do.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Also on the Helldivers 2 front is
Uh-huh.
I'm actually backing the board game.
Oh, you are going to do it. Okay.
Yep. No, it's backed, and it's the first. I was doing the stretch pay on it, and the first pay came out a few days ago. But it's yeah, game looks fun. So that'll be one that I'll have to haul back to the US at some point. So that way
We're
we
going
can
to have
give
to
it
see
a
what
crack.
happens when you accidentally kill people with a stratagem and you have to look them in the eyes when you do it.
Yeah, that's true. This could be really. This could either be really fun or really awkward, like really quick. Who knows?
Yeah,
Like,
I played Oregon Trail, the card game, and that one they changed it up because you can give a disease to one of your friends. So I gave Evan
When did they
dysentery
add
almost every
syphilis to
time.
this? God, that's terrible. The other game we started was our first attempt at Baldur's Gate 3 for the new crossplay co-op mode, which we played a little bit, and we'll see how it goes for future times. But Steven, it was your first time kind of messing around with it, I believe, at least for the story mode as well.
It's new with the multiple people being able to, because you don't have a DM. The DM is the game. Having multiple people allowed to like roll for certain things, like the doors, the traps, and kind of like forgetting like that's I'm strength or I'm intelligence, so I should be leaving the chests to thieves and stuff. So it's trying to get back in the D&D mindset. You, even though it looks like Diablo, you don't play it like Diablo, especially when you get into battles. Especially when you get into battles. So
I was trying to enjoy it, but I was kind of disinterested a little bit while playing it because like the story was actually changing for me too. It was new, but I was being told like all I did was walk off when we first started, and I was like, oh, what's this? And I clicked on it just out of curiosity, and it was like, don't do anything, let Steven make the choices, and I'm just like, that's what? So I was like, I'm afraid to do anything now. So
yeah,
we'll
I think
see how
it's
it goes.
like even if like I played by myself, I'd have to go through the same story again. It's not like you pick a class, you get that class's story. There's still an overarching
Well, even
storyline.
for some of it, like the character that popped up never popped up in my game. Like the story changed from what I played.
Yeah,
we were already there, and I was like,
I did see like that that you can save different people, except for the one lady who is supposed to become Cthulhu, so she just turns into it. But I'm basically trying to play it as I would my original D&D character. So unfortunately, that means I pick up almost everything: plate, forks, knives, bushes. Like if I can pick it up, I'm going to pick it up.
So you're a klepto, got it? A D&D klepto.
But but I'm being told like don't sell everything because then the merchants might run out of money. And I was like, oh yeah, it's working out that system. So I was like, I can't just play it like Animal Crossing where Nook's got deep pockets or the store's got deep pockets. So I was like, okay, I got to remember that because if somebody else wants to sell something, then I was just like, then I'm learning there's party gold. So I was just like, oh boy, okay.
Yeah, I think we're all learning a little bit different with the crossplay stuff, or at least multiplayer.
Yeah, co-op. I think the one dig, like if there was any for me, that I would probably give Valerian about this game is the co-op was definitely kind of considered in like the back end of everything. Like they didn't really think of co-op. The one thing I don't necessarily like is that it's like in D&D you have an initiative system, and in this game it just kind of throws it out the window. Like if all of your characters are together, say in initiative order, then everybody can just kind of do whatever they want like at the same time, and I'm like, I don't like that. Like
yeah,
there should be like an initiative order.
It seems like it still does initiative during battles, but not as we were just kind of wandering.
It's just hard to tell the order sometimes when it comes to initiative because it just
well, it does initiative order, so it does initiative in battles,
right,
and it goes into like a turn-based mode. But if you have, say for instance, like my character and say like Swan or your character are next to each other in initiative order, then we can both do our actions at the same time. And it's kind of like, well,
I noticed that. Yeah, that was weird. I haven't had.
I don't
that
necessarily like that because I'm like, what if I want to, what if I want to like attack this guy, but then like somebody runs off and attacks him already, and now I can't like do anything. It's like,
yeah,
hang on.
For a lot of stuff like that, like say if you are playing D&D and you both roll the same, if there's not a modifier that changes it, usually you'll roll off to figure out which one goes first or whatever. But
yeah,
it's usually based on your dex modifier.
And I'm used to like attacking or doing like my actions and ending my turn. That's it. But then the game's like, do you want to unend your turn to do something else? And I was just like, stop confusing me with that.
I guess that's kind of like
I get the push, pull, trip, fondle, tickle, whatever. But I'm just like, some of that is cool enough that you could like just push somebody off a roof or a cliff or something like that to get rid of them. So I was like, I appreciate that, but I also think like they should just be strict with me. And if I end my turn, I end my fucking turn. Don't tell me like, do you want to unend your turn? I was like, no. What are you saying?
Yeah, I it's confusing how they say it, but I mean, Chase, you can verify if I'm right on this or not. But it's kind of like if you don't use everything, you can hold an action that you can use later. And I've seen different games where people have done that as an actual rule, just kind of like, I'm going to hold this attack for whatever. And
yeah, so like an actual D&D, you can hold an action. Say, for instance, like you're in the middle of a conversation, because like I've done that before where I've said like, I'm gonna have I'm gonna be ready to attack them. I'm gonna hold an action in case they try to do something stupid, and then like if they make a move, then I'm going to attack them type thing. Like I've told my DM that before, like with my character, because I typically play like fighters and paladins and stuff. This one's a little bit different where like if you end your turn, you can cancel to unend your turn, just so that way you can like play around with your inventory or like do something else, which I thought was weird. But yeah,
okay, that is weird.
It isn't like because they don't actually have like the hold action ability in this, for instance.
Because it's got a learning curve because it expects you to have kind of general knowledge of D&D and
I only know from podcasts.
some people modify their D&D campaigns. DMs do, either to bring in new people who don't want to be, here's the book that that's as big as what do you call it, like how many PS2s are sold, and like here's all these pages you have to look through and stuff like that. And with Baldur's Gate, it's just like, okay, I didn't know that it had the attack of opportunity when you tried to walk away from a monster, because it didn't tell me that until it attacked me. So it's I don't know if it does it differently when you play by yourself, like one player, but like with co-op, it seemed to just flash tutorials really quick and not really go into it. So it was kind of like, oh, you know what you're doing, so we're going to leave you to it. So I felt a lot of stuff like I either had to press start and like read through a bunch of logs to know what is actually being included, because the settings didn't say much about that. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, the tutorials don't really change because you don't actually go through like a tutorial thing or anything. It's just something pops up on the screen to say, hey, by the way, this is a thing. And then you're just like, oh, okay.
I know with attacks of opportunity, if you try and move away from somebody, it usually, or at least I have it set where it'll tell me, if you do this, they get it's an attack of opportunity. They can attack you and they can.
Yeah, because mine at one point in the ship, it told me, but it just told me after I got hit. They're like, don't do that, because if you do that, it's attack of opportunity unless you have blah blah blah. I was like,
this game very much lets you fuck around and find out. Like you will do something and then it'll be like, like you probably.
Fafo Gate 3,
right? I think it'll get better as we mess around with it some more. It's got potential to be a hilarious scenario because we could all just be idiots in this, and that's the best D&D, I think. So, who knows? We will continue and see how this plays out over time. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our first little bit of news for the day. So Switch 2 pre-orders have started, and it kind of went okay-ish. Rachel is not here today, but I can tell you right now, she would be saying no, it wasn't. she was very frustrated. She did eventually get a pre-order, I think.
Yeah, through one of
your
my friends.
Right. But Nintendo president Shintaro Furukawa stated that the number of people who tried to pre-order a Switch 2 in Japan for their online system far exceeds expectations and far exceeds the number of Switch 2 consoles that can be delivered for launch. I think there was over 2 million requests that were put in. Go ahead, Stephen.
And while they didn't share a number, France said they had a historic amount of pre-orders.
Dang. And remember, everyone was like, hey, it's too expensive. No one's going to buy this. And yeah, don't listen to people talking a bunch of crap. There's a lot of other people that just aren't saying anything that are willing to buy stuff.
They're practicing the Pokemon cycle. This looks like crap. Not going to buy it. Pokemon sells over 10 million units. Okay.
U.S. retailers like Target, Walmart, Best Buy, and GameStop are completely sold out of the systems, though GameStop apparently is still getting little spurts of them on occasion. So check. You never know. You might be able to get a few more.
And GameStops are getting lines around the building. It's awesome to see.
Yeah.
People like making new friends and playing Smash in the parking lot.
Well, when we do the release, I'm planning on parking my car by the front because I know the people at the local GameStop. So if I can get there early, I'll set that up. And with my electric car, I'll put a TV in the back. I'll bring my Switch, have Smash Brothers and 8 wireless controllers and just get some games going. Because I'll wait till everybody leaves. I'll sit there and we'll play and do whatever. So you can still get games at a lot of places. Some accessories are getting hard to find. I think the cameras are sold out at GameStop. I think you can still get Pro controllers. The amiibos are pretty much gone everywhere. 6 of them got released. The 3 Street Fighter and 3 of the 4 Zelda ones.
Yeah, the Goron is for some reason just not available.
I have to preface this with because my lovely wife Amanda went to pre-order stuff for me because I was traveling that day, and I love her to death, but she was trying to explain to the guy that she wanted to get the Goron, and she described him as the rock-eating Humpty Dumpty one. Looks like an egg. He rolls around everywhere, and I can't get that out of my head now. Which is a great way to describe a Goron. I love my wife. She's fantastic. So try and take a look at that. We don't have a clear number for pre-orders yet, but with many retailers completely selling through after Nintendo publicly tried to build up a stock of the console ahead of time points to a healthy start to what is the console, the follow-up to the so far second highest selling console in history. I don't see it doing Switch numbers. I don't really foresee many systems getting that high again.
I know for launch, it's already obliterated Switch numbers, though.
It's already obliterated Switch, PS5, and X. I think Series X numbers.
And it's on a path to break PS2.
Yeah, it's estimated to be at 5 to 6 million by analysts. I think you added that note, Stephen.
Yeah.
At
least like Bloomberg and 2 other analysts are like, we think it's around 5 or 6 million pre-ordered already, and everybody's just like, awesome.
Yeah. So, you and I both were able to get one, but I want to kind of go over what we actually got. So, Stephen, I'll let you go through yours. You said you had a list. I'm curious to see what we both got. I know mine is breaking well over $1,000.
Well, I pre-ordered 3 games. So I got Street Fighter 6.
Oh, nice.
Puyo Pop Tetris 2S and Yakuza 0.
Okay.
That's it for the games, because the rest I'm going to get digitally, like Welcome Tour, GameCube Classics, stuff like that. Fast Fusion.
Oh, I'm definitely getting Fast Fusion. That looks amazing.
I'm surprisingly not going to get any of the Switch 2 editions because, first off, I already have 2 of the games, so they're going to be free upgrades. But
right,
as a different type of collector, since I found out that the upgrade packs will be sold physically in stores, I'm going to look for those cards, and I want to collect those cards that are the upgrade packs. So I'll go to Targets and Best Buys and look for those, and I'll buy those instead. I might even buy the Zelda ones just for shits and giggles, but I'll be doing that because I do want more real estate for my Metroid Prime 4 and stuff like that. So if it's coming out on Switch or I have it on Switch, I'll get it there, but I'll look for the physical upgrade packs.
Yeah, there's a few of those I'm going to talk about later as well. But
I made sure to get the AM Film screen protectors. They're extra on sale on Amazon right now. It's a 2-pack for like $5. They're usually $8. They're the best I've ever used. I've used it on every single handheld system I've ever used, even my phones. They make it really easy to put it on there without bubbles because they give you a frame to put it on. They give you a smearer to get rid of any bubbles. Like they tell you to like, hey, bring this into your bathroom because that's not going to have any dust in there. And
yeah, make a clean
set it up there and stuff. So they're very serious about it, and I've never had an issue with them. I also got a 1 terabyte micro SD express card because now the SD express cards are selling out everywhere. Lexar's probably so happy because theirs are all sold out. They're all sold out all over Japan. Like there's just like they sell like I think they said they were selling like 3 to 10 an hour of those memory cards because people are like, I need them.
Yeah, this is definitely going to help adoption of those cards and more devices.
I did get the Riju, Sidon, Tulin, Legend of Zelda amiibos. I got and they're slightly bigger, which, they all went up in price. I did get Kimberly, Jamie, and Luke for the Street Fighter 6. It was only up for like, according to some people, for like a few seconds, but there's a card set that is exclusive to GameStop, which I don't know why, because GameStop is dying. So stop giving them exclusives. Like they gave them Obscura Expedition, and now they're giving them this. So I was like, I don't want exclusives. I just want to be able to get it.
I'm pretty sure this gave them a shot in the arm, especially with the pre-orders, because a lot of them had lines around the building, like you said.
I did get the Switch 2 Pro controller. I know it's backwards compatible, but I like to always have like one controller that's gonna have the extra features on it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know what I'm gonna use it for. Maybe I'll even see what it looks like one day when we're doing one of our episodes. But I did get the Piranha Plant one because that one sold out strictly on its gimmick. It is only 480p, guys, but people just really like how the novelty of it. So I got that. I got the regular Switch 2 camera because that's the one I'll have set up here. And then as of yesterday, I now have 2 Mario Kart bundles pre-ordered because one's from Best Buy and one's from Walmart. And if nobody needs it, I'll cancel the one from Best Buy because Walmart, until the day before release, will guarantee they will deliver to you before 9 a.m. on launch day. So I know I'll get it that day. I can take the day off and just absorb. So, needless to say, I'm all set. And then I am hearing some games like Rune Factory will miss their launch date due to the T word. So that's unfortunate. But then you have stuff like Sonic Generations got pushed up to launch day. But as well as we're going to talk about other companies, Sega, you guys are getting really greedy.
Yeah, I was going to have some words with them on our little third-party developer section.
Because I just want to say, like, Sega, why are some of your games the save data can transfer and other of your games the save data cannot?
Well, it gets worse. We don't know confirm, but the Puyo Puyo Tetris, if you get that Switch 2 version, you more than likely cannot play with Switch 1 people. Because like PS4 and PS5 editions cannot communicate with each other. They segment them off by console. So we don't know if that's going to be the case or not. So I'm holding off on that one to see, because I might just get the Switch version and be done with it, so Amanda can play it as well. So for me, I ended up with the Mario Kart bundle. I intended to get the normal system, but beggars cannot be choosers, and I'm not going to go into great detail of exactly how I got my Switch, but thanks for the help. I'm just going to go into that. I was asked not to say too much about it, and that is fine. But I still ordered Mario Kart World because I got a friend that wants to get it, but he's not in a rush on the time. So he's just going to wait until I get the email from Nintendo, because he's on my family plan, but I'm the head of it. So I get that purchase. So he's just going to buy that version, which will be just the normal one. And then he'll pay me the extra just to get the Mario Kart code. That's why I was happy when you said if it's a code in the box, that's perfect, because then I won't have to use it. Or
bless
hopefully it's
Nintendo.
not pre-installed.
I hope their servers are ready for June 5th, because just about every game you're buying need to download something.
Yeah. Not all of them. Mario Kart won't if I have to.
Well,
but
if like the bundles are saying everybody's buying the bundle,
yeah.
yeah.
But I'm not going to be using the code for mine. I'm saving that for later when I get it for Remy to use it. Mario Kart World, I got Street Fighter 6 Year 1+2 edition, which that seems to be the only one I've seen. I know they said there's 2 versions, but I've yet to see the normal one.
The regular one is digital.
Oh, okay. At this point, just get the Year 1+2 that we have everything. It makes very little sense not to. Yakuza 0 I was kind of disappointed to find out it's a key card, but whatever. I want to play it and the kids want to try it, so that still works.
Plus, it's got that online co-op raid mode, so
yes, we're gonna have to play that. We'll be waiting on you, Chase. I got a Pro Controller as well because I like, especially with the Xbox and the PS5, I like being able to just plug my headphones into the controller, even if just to listen to audio while, if we're talking to people or doing stuff, so there's not echoes of game sounds. So I wanted, just like you, I wanted to have at least one. But I've already got a full collection of, 8 Pro controllers for Smash Brothers that I ended up buying. So all of those will be used. And my one extra, I told Jennifer I would give to her, so she will have her own.
Yeah, another reason I only got one is because they're going to make special editions. So.
Yes, that's how I got half of mine.
I can almost foresee that.
Oh, I hope they do. I'd rather buy a Pro controller than another console sometimes. I got the Switch 2 camera. I did not get the Piranha Plant. I was tempted. It is amazing looking, and I love the joke of it. But it would have bugged me with the 480p. I am going to try the camera I'm using right now as a USB-C camera, and I want to try it out because it's a high 1080p, I think, camera. So if it works, that'll be kind of funny. I got all 3 of the Street Fighter 6 amiibos, and I did manage to get the pre-order for the card set. I went to GameStop after you told me it was exclusive. I went up there and was like, hey, can you look? He said, no, they don't have it. And he looked and he literally went, holy shit, we do. And so I immediately pre-ordered it. I got 3 of the 4 Zelda amiibos, as we talked about before. The Goron is not available. And the 5th one has been shown, but not. That's supposed to be later this year for the big Mechanoid one.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an expensive day when this comes out.
I will say it's doing pretty good because the reason I got a second pre-order is because last night into this morning, Walmart had a big allocation. So people were pre-ordering them through last night and this morning and getting through. So it was nice to see.
I wonder if they held some back to do waves of it to try and keep people from trying to grab them all at one time,
I do know that I don't know the price yet, but Costco will have them day and date of the release, and it'll come with a 1-year membership, but only for new people.
I've actually found those codes do work for people that already have it, because I ended up having to test that. It's weird how it says it, but it still works. So who knows? Rachel, I think, just got a normal. I think it was your friend's got the Mario Kart edition.
Yeah, she's getting the Mario Kart as well.
Okay, I don't know if she's ordering any other games or if she's just getting that now.
That'll keep everybody busy, to be honest.
Yeah, that's going to be the big one for launch day. Now, the funny thing is, we talked about this before. I called them out on the Discord, at least, because both of my boys were like, "Hey, we're not going to get Switch 2s. They're too expensive." And then Junior was first. He went up to GameStop with my wife, and he ended up getting a Mario Kart bundle. So because he was like, well, I can just pay it off over time. And of course, John kept going like, well, I can't get it right now. I'm gonna have to wait. And then he just blurted out today, oh yeah, because Jeremy and I were talking about which versions we got. And John's like, oh yeah, I'm getting that one too. He ordered it from Walmart where he works. I was like, oh, I see how it is. FOMO is real. Like both my boys were just like, I don't want to watch you play it. I want to have my own.
FOMO is the number one. I think there's they did like a science, like psychology behind retail, and FOMO is the number one driver of sales.
Also, there's a reason I don't watch anybody at Super Nintendo World. I don't watch tours of it. I don't look at their gift shop. I don't look at the meals you get there. I was just like, no, that FOMO would be astronomical. So I was like, Nope. And until I'm actually going, I'm not reading up on any of that. Because that FOMO will kill me.
That would be funny if we could all find a way to schedule where we could all go at the same time. Like that would be a great way for us all to finally meet up at Super Nintendo World. Oh man. So yeah, like pre-orders I think went fairly well. I know it was kind of a mess because I don't think even Nintendo foresaw that this many would sell at that time, but they also probably should have known because
I don't believe that
pre-orders.
personally, but that's fine.
I mean,
who
the amount
wasn't
of
ready was Best Buy, because Best Buy didn't open up and give you even a line or a queue to buy it until 12:30.
Yeah, they were half an hour late. Yep. And once again, we don't know the exact reason why Amazon did not have anything to sell or give. They still have
they just don't sell their first
spat.
party anything.
Yeah, they're still fighting with Nintendo. Nobody really knows why. So they just don't.
It's fine. Amazon's mostly evil anyway, so I give my money to other evil corporations. Whatever.
It's one evil, other evil, whatever. It's all evil. All right, let's jump into our next little bit here. So last week we talked about Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion leaking. Well, guess what? They've released it. They didn't even wait. They released like a 20-minute video, which was really fun to watch, by the way. I like when they go into detail of like what they changed and how they did stuff and built it, and it was entertaining. And you're not wrong about the FOMO, Chase. I was just like, I don't need it, but I kind of need it. I haven't bought it yet, only because there is a physical version coming out. So I'm just like, I don't know if it's on the disc or not, but I'm gonna make myself wait for that at least. So yeah. So it's $49.99 for the standard edition, $59.99 for the deluxe edition. All versions of the game include the Shivering Isles and Knights of the Nine expansions, which you remember back in the day, those were kind of fun, and they even released them as their own separate things, and then the Game of the Year edition. The deluxe edition includes some new quests for unique Akatosh and Mehrunes Dagon armors, weapons, and horse armor sets.
Horse armor!
Yeah.
The first DLC ever.
Not the first DLC, technically the Dreamcast
or microtransaction. Sorry,
yeah, there
first
you
microtransaction.
So some people are upset, going like, "Oh, they're not in there," and I was like, "Yeah, these are new and different. That's why they have them on that. The actual game itself is complete. Everything that was in the original for this remaster is there. So however it goes, so the game was rebuilt in Unreal Engine 5 for the graphics, animations, audio base, along with lip syncing and other features, with the original game running underneath as kind of the base brain of the whole thing. So all your favorite old glitches are still there. You will still see people crushed under a rock. You'll go to talk to them and they're going to pop up all of a sudden and talk to you.
Yeah, the exploits and the voice mistakes are in there still too.
Yeah. They were showing the very opening when you're in the prison cell and the guards come in with the king, like right at the beginning of the game. And the one guy stops and the other one just pushes him. He slides to the side and goes around. You're like, wow, I remember that.
My favorite one was at the beginning where you could actually tape your controller, like the stick forward. There was a guy that, like, because it was teaching you about crouching and like being quiet and sneaky, you could actually just have your character walking into a wall, like right behind the guy. He's programmed to never turn around, so like and never move. So you could literally just like walk your character into a corner, tape your controller stick forward, and just keep walking and walking and walking, and you could max out your stealth. Like it just. Like, I'll come back after like I make some lunch or something.
Yeah, I watched the prison glitch where you basically when you tell the guy show me the prison, and he's leading you down there. If you ask him to show you the prison again, he leaves and shuts the door behind him. So then you can go down to one of the prisoners who again is programmed not to turn around or ever move, and you can pickpocket him until you're 100.
Yeah, you just sit there and just keep pressing it.
Another thing I like to say, because I'm following all the funny things about it, is that they went out of their way to be like, we're sorry, but there's officially no mod support for this game. And the internet said, hold my beer. And there's now 100 mods already for it.
That's PC gaming for you. There is no stopping that.
There's actually even a mod that once you leave the sewers, it turns into Skyrim. Like you wake up on the car. So I was like, all right.
That's funny. Apparently, there was the group that that was making Oblivion in Skyrim, and they kind of had to stop that because, well, actually, they did not stop it. They contacted the team making it, gave them all free copies of Oblivion, thanked them for their work, and are letting them continue making the mod. They're like, we're not even going to stop you. Like, we like what you're doing. Here's a copy of the game so you guys can enjoy it and have at it, making the Skyrim mod with Oblivion. Like, why not? So that's kind of neat. Combat was updated. They kind of made it more visceral. I know that was your issue with Avowed at the early trailers before they fixed it later. I swear they did fix it, Steven. Give it a try. But now they added like sparks when the swords hit and stuff like that.
I'll play it after I finish No Man's Sky.
God damn it. I loved Avowed. It was so good. But they also added sprinting because they were like, we kind of fought against it, and then we realized, yeah, you are kind of slow. So we're going to add sprinting in and let you do that. So I think that's one of the bigger updates along with some of the animations. But the game looks amazing. Everything I've seen comparing it, it looks like it would be a full remake, like an actual remaster and everything, not just a remake. Or reverse. Remake, not a remaster. So I don't know. I'm eventually going to get it. My friend John bought it on Steam, and he was loading it on his Steam Deck earlier, so I will find out how it runs on that. Because I might be tempted to get the PC release, and then I'll get the Xbox disc later. So
we'll see. Chase and I can play it right now on Game Pass.
I'm not going to lie. A couple of these games have made me consider, because I was like, I still have those codes for like a couple months of free Game Pass for buying my laptop, and I was like, I could do it, but it would convert all of my Xbox Live time to this, and I would have to pay for it after a while. I was
at the end
considering it. I'm going to give in this year probably, as long as they don't raise the price. So we'll see.
Again.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up with the Nintendo stuff as well. I'm wondering if they're going to eventually raise the cost of Nintendo Online instead of as a way to cover the cost of the tariffs, instead of increasing all the hardware again later on.
Well, I think that's what the accessories did for sure.
Well, they said that it may have to go up again, so we'll see. All right, let's jump into our next little bit of news here. Speaking of Nintendo, we've had an interesting discovery with third-party developers seem to be focusing on using keycards for the majority of their games, with a couple going so far as to make it even worse. So there's a couple titles that are not keycards, Cyberpunk 2077, Ultimate Edition being one of the big ones that's actually on the cart.
All of Marvelous's games, because they actually made a post saying Story of Seasons, Rune Factory, and Daemon X Machina Scion are all on the cart.
Yeah, and somehow, was it one of them is actually backwards compatible with the Switch? You can put it in the Switch and just loads up the Switch version, which is, wow, I kind of want to buy it just because of that.
Yeah, that one sold out quick on Walmart.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, worth a shot.
Walmart at least. Everybody else might have it.
But everybody else seems to be kind of just doing the key cards. And some people are wondering if Nintendo only is doing this small 1 gig card or whatever for the key cards, and then the 64 gig, like it's all or nothing, instead of what the Switch had, which was different ranges of sizes. Which would kind of suck. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't be still making variable sizes to let developers use that. But some of them are going a little bit further. Sega being the big one we kind of hinted at earlier. They're pushing, not only are they key cards, but they're not doing any upgrades as an option. So if you had Sonic Generations X Shadow for the Switch, then you don't get any kind of upgrade or ability to upgrade for the Switch 2. You have to buy the whole game again. And some people are kind of miffed about that, because that game only came out a few months ago. Like, they were well aware that the Switch 2 was coming and just were like, nah. They'll let you transfer your save over, but you cannot transfer it back. So once you move it off your Switch to the Switch 2, your Switch 1 version, you have to start over, it seems, which kind of
So,
sucks.
so I follow a guy who's all his thing is to analyze sales,
Mm-hmm.
not and just kind of just talk about markets and stuff.
Right.
He's awesome to listen to. It's Daniel Ahmad on Blue Sky and X,
Nice.
but he gave a quick explainer
Mm-hmm.
because he said, like, well, 64 gigabyte game cards are significantly more expensive than discs. You have to price those above the $60 given margins if you're going to make any money on it.
Mm-hmm.
It does take time to ramp up different capacity game cards. So right now, game key cards seem to be the main option that's the easiest right now until Nintendo's like giving out more capacities for it. And I
Right.
think that's why you're getting stuff like Bravely Default, which is like 10 gigs, and Survival Kids in Japan, which is 5 gigs, being on a key card, is because they are not, they're basically just trying to get ready for launch. And a lot of these are just, once they ramp up more sizes of Switch 2 cards, I think you'll probably see some of these start to phase out, depending.
I hope so. But
So
there's
basically,
one.
like he says, digital games and key cards equal a higher margin, and they can price it under $60, and that's what you're seeing with most.
Right.
So unless they're making it really fully featured, like Street Fighter, by including season passes and stuff, that's technically on cart. At least it's not a code. So
Yeah.
the next person who gets Street Fighter years 1 and 2 also gets both years, and I don't know if that's going to be the same for PS5 and Series X, because those are getting versions of that too. And he also just says, like, hey, it comes down to reasons like, 1, because they can, 2, what the market accepts, 3, they're not willing to lower margins versus other platforms, the external factors going on right now, like regulation, tariffs,
Yep.
the increasing cost of game development, because games cost 200 to 300 million now.
A little expensive.
And like he says Switch is a handheld platform that can't use discs. It has to use micro SD tech. And in the case of Switch 2, it's the newer, faster, and more expensive micro SD Express tech.
Mm-hmm.
That right there is an additional cost versus discs or Switch 1 game cards. It'll come down in time, hopefully. So I kind of like, I can see where he's going.
Yeah.
And that's why I will fully accept key cards, because again, people, you can still trade them in. You can still lend them to friends.
Yeah.
EA, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't you take us into the worst case scenario of this, Steven? Because I know you really wanted to say something.
So yeah, of course, EA has to throw a wrench into things, and they're like, we're going to officially be the first ones to be hated the most, because we're not hated already. And we're going to put Split Fiction, which is already a game where once you have it, you can have somebody download the Friend Pass to play with you, and it's crossplay. But now you're going to be like, okay, we're going to give you a code in the box. We're going to be the first ones. So it actually will say right on the front, full game download required. And when you open it up, it's a code in the box. There's no cartridge.
And I would honestly rather have just been a damn key card. Like, come on.
For me, and I've always said these about code in the boxes, if it's less than $10, it's the only time it's going to be appropriate to buy those. Only because what are you doing with the box when you're done with it? Nobody wants it. It's got a huge white label, or in this case, a huge bluish purplish label on the bottom saying code in the box, basically. And it's just, there's nothing you can do with it once you have the game. So why wouldn't you just save yourself the gas money or waiting online and just buy it digitally, because you're getting the same thing? And it's just unfortunate that they were like, we want to go even cheaper. They had just announced that Madden 26 is coming to Switch for the first time in a long time, like Nintendo system in a long time, and as a key card. So EA, we know you can do it because you're doing it to Madden. But then you turn around and you're like, Split Fiction isn't worth our time, even though it's selling really well. So we're going to put that in a code. And I've already seen the rhetoric of, we're not supporting code in the box. Like, we're on the fence about the key cards, but we're absolutely not for code in the box. And I hope that continues. Vote with your wallet, guys. Please do not ever buy code in the box. Just buy it digitally, or don't buy it at all for anything that is code in the box. Get the ones for PlayStation and Xbox. and because it's cross-platform, it's all that good stuff anyway, and it's just not worth it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Why the hell is it not a key card? Because like the thing with Street Fighter and all those, now that the boys are both getting Switch 2s, the games I'm getting will be shareable in the house, key card or not. So they'll get to try out Yakuza, they'll get to mess around with Street Fighter. All those games will be I can pass them around the house and play them, and that's fine. All of us are going to have, like, I'll have a physical copy of Mario Kart, but they're both going to have digital ones, so we'll see. But yeah, I don't know what the hell's up with Split Fiction. I hope you're right, though. I definitely, remind me later. I need to follow that guy because that sounds like really good information that he had on there. But I'm hoping that eventually more of these come out, that they can kind of space it out. And I know not every company's going to do it. I kind of expect for smaller indie ones, if they're not going through like limited run or so forth, the key card might be their only way to have a physical release.
Because, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
And it's because you saw the same thing with the Switch 1, is that they started out having code in the boxes and they were horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because Nintendo were still updating the Switch. And once they found out how to like say, oh, you don't have to make a new icon for every game, you can release a collection and it'll just populate all the games as
I love
their own
those
icon.
games. When I put it in there and my whole row changes.
Because they did that, we got surprisingly, we got some of the early adoption beginnings of key cards, because like Batman Arkham Trilogy, it's got the first one on cart, but it goes to the internet to download the other two. The problem people came across with that one is that people thought once you download it off of the card or whatever, because it wasn't explained to them, is you can't play those other two that you had to download fully. You still need the cart in there.
Yeah.
And that was basically the birth of key cards, but now it's actually being explained to us.
But then to mix it up, like even more confusing, is like the Borderlands one. I believe that one did have a separate code, because I can play Borderlands 2 or I can play one of the Borderlands digitally. I don't have to have the cartridge in, which just mixes things up, even more. And I'm hoping they just kind of sort it out. And of course, EA had to come in and just dick around with this.
Yeah, because I was perfectly happy with having key cards and full-on cart games, because then it's like, all right.
Yeah, it's at least something, because you and I, we talked about this. We're both pretty much the collectors for this show. And it was a big thing between us, so who knows? That also kind of reminded me, I talked about it before the show on Discord. Like, what is it? It's April 26th. The month is almost over, and Nintendo is still saying that they're going to do the virtual game card update by late April. And I'm like, you guys are cutting it kind of close. Like, when's
it's happening right now?
I would be so happy. Jennifer's waiting for that because she wants to borrow one of my games that is digital only. And I'm like, all right, once it goes through, I'll send it to you and you can play it. So we shall see. All right, let's move on to our next little bit here. So this is kind of a fun one just for accessibility, as well as Sony kind of giving us something back we wanted. There's a recent PS5 system software update brings audio focus and appearance options to the menu. Audio focus will let you change the sound with preset options to help people hear with different needs. So there's the boost low pitch, which is for low frequency sounds like roaring engines and rumbling noises. Boost voices for like voice chat, character voices, middle frequency sounds. Boost high pitch, which is high frequency sounds like footsteps and metallic noises. Boost quiet sounds, which is low volume sounds in a wide range of frequencies. And then they have each setting has 3 levels, which so you can do it weak, medium, or strong, depending on how much you need. And this I kind of like, can be applied to the left and right channels individually as needed. So if you can hear just fine in your left ear, but your right ear you can't, you can increase or add whatever is needed for that ear to try and help it out. This does require headphones, either via USB or plugged into the controller. You cannot do it via HDMI out to your TV. But if you're having hearing issues, that kind of makes sense, because that puts you in your own little world of audio and you can adjust it how you need to. So you guys have any thoughts on that one, or? Nope. Okay. The other one is the appearance. This one lets you set the sounds and icons of the system to the reference of the previous 4 PlayStation systems. But as Steven pointed out, there are no startup animations, though. So we don't get those cool animations. But you can at least change how it looks. I might go back to the cross-media bar. I kind of like that one. So we'll go. All right. Now for our fun discussion of the night for our last little bit of news here. So Ziff Davis, this is the owner of IGN, Eurogamer, GibZ, Nintendo Life, CNET, and other companies, is suing OpenAI in one of the largest cases against AI copyright theft. I was talking about this earlier, like how heated this was getting. So they're teaming up with New York Times, The Interceptor, Raw Story, Alternet, and a grouping of Canadian companies for the lawsuit that are all together. Ziff Davis stated that OpenAI was found to have copied, reproduced, and stored many of the articles and stories their company have produced in their complete forms to then use this data to answer ChatGPT questions. So people would ask the questions and they would just give them ad nauseum entire articles from IGN and other sites without changing anything, but without referencing or giving traffic or anything to those sites, which you need the traffic to survive. That's why these places do that. Ziff Davis found hundreds of full copies of the body of text of their work in just a small sample of OpenAI's web text database or data set when they had to make part of it public recently. They're asking the courts to block OpenAI from exploiting their and others' works and to destroy any data set or model containing their content. So this is the part I thought you guys would really like. OpenAI responded stating, quote, ChatGPT helps enhance human creativity, advance scientific discovery and medical research, and enable hundreds of millions of people to improve their daily lives, which is already bullshit. They continued, our models empower innovation and are trained on publicly available data and grounded in fair use. So they're making the argument that if we can freely read it, we can use it. Steven, go ahead.
You should somebody asked the founder, and he responded in the most disgusting way.
Of course.
Most depressing way, I should say. That it's costing hundreds of thousands of dollars because people keep saying thank you. Because of the electricity used by AI, it's using all that excess electricity to just say thank you. When people are like, stop treating them like humans, just when you get or if you're just getting your information, stop. Don't say thank you.
Wow. So politeness is helping to ruin the planet.
Kill them with kindness, yeah.
God, that got even more depressing. But I wanted to ask y'all's opinion on the fact that they're thinking if they can freely read it, which means like our website, I have my blog and other stuff up there, just because it can be freely read, they think they may have already, who knows, taken all the text verbatim and just used it however they wanted without permission, without asking or anything.
So my thing with both those is, first off, certain things should be internal. If you're going to use AI, it should pull from an intranet and not from wherever it's going to get it, because otherwise you're going to get it to tell you to kill yourself or eat rocks. So, or put glue on your pizza to keep it together.
Right.
But with this, what should have happened is that if somebody asks a question or wants to read an article, right? I would say, like, if it at least gave the website a click, like a visitor, an entry, something like that, like a click, because it'll say, hey, ChatGPT accessed this article to give it to somebody who asked a question. That I think would make perfect sense. But the fact that they're like, no, we'll have copies of it over here so that you don't see any of it. I was just like, that's just wrong and dirty, and that's why they're bringing in the courts, because it's like they probably would have been fine saying, oh, we're getting all these clicks because people are asking questions and it's finding our article, but they're not getting any clicks because somebody already just verbatim wrote it. I'm against any and all news sites that want you to pay money to read the rest of the article. There's actually websites to get around that because it's gotten so bad.
Ironically, this article, I couldn't read the whole thing on New York Times. I had to wait till other companies
Yeah,
covered it so I could
I
read
can
the rest of
understand
it.
where people are going because you have to like literally like change the code or use special websites to get past that because you just want to read that one article. So that actually deters me from ever going there. So I think it would actually help these sites to get more clicks if they just said, hey, ChatGPT accessed it to pull the data, but don't copy the data. So that's why I think AI should be, crediting where it's taking from if it's taking articles. It's one thing to take art. That's a whole nother
Well, I
problem.
think even with the articles, that's still somebody writing this information, and they're, if they're putting their spin on their story and everything. The big part is that ChatGPT, or the OpenAI, they're making deals with some places to be able to access their data. They did it with, I think, the Washington Post and a few other places, but they at least got permission. But that doesn't.
Yeah.
But companies that don't want them to use it should have that right and not just then have their stuff stolen. I don't want them having access to our site and the stories and articles I've written. That doesn't
I
mean
can
they should just be
actually,
like, well, we'll just take it,
because I can actually say what, as part of like a quick aside is that with the newest update for ZZZ, and it's becoming more of an epidemic, is that when you have a live service game, you have to if you're going to include certain characters again, you have to kind of put that into the contract again. And while everybody in the beginning was already contracted to do it, in this newest update, they replaced 4 voices, and they only replaced 4 voices because either they're on strike or they're too busy. And I think it's more likely the former than the latter here,
right?
Because I was just like, there was no drama behind these 4. They were, one of them was just shown off in a previous season as a character and had voice, and so I didn't notice it. But then some of them, the voices are changing, and it's just like you get somebody you're used to. Like if you watched a cartoon and stuff like that, and they kept changing the voices, you probably wouldn't like the cartoon anymore. And I was just like, stop changing all these voices. I know you're trying to sound the same, but some people aren't putting the same oomph
Effort.
or emphasis as the original ones were because they were excited to be these characters. And I was just like, I hope to see a resolution to that where they can give AI protections to voice actors, or at least the permission part, because while right now it's happening with a live service game, I don't ever want to see it where suddenly an update happens to my video game and they're like, oh yeah, we changed the voice. Because the absolute worst it did was I had to watch cutscenes where it was fully voiced except for the characters they didn't have the voice actor for, would just be subtitles. Imagine watching a dub with subs where certain characters won't talk. They'll just they'll just mouth silently and you'll see words on the bottom. Horrible thing to see.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to watch that. It would be because I can't stay focused that long for that. Like, it would drive me mad. So like with the voice stuff, especially with AI protections, it's one thing if they give permission. Like James Earl Jones was all in with Disney using his voice, getting all the voice samples, and making an AI version that can do the lines of Darth Vader because he wanted, even after his passing, to be that character. That was his choice. They made that call. His family's definitely going to benefit from it for a long time because they still get money from it. But consent 100% has to be the factor here. Just like there's other ones that are saying, no, you cannot use me.
You just created the best sign on the picket line. Consent 100%. Consent 100%.
Yep. Please use that. I give permission.
You should make a direct about consent.
Right? I just want to see the picture of it. So I'm curious to see how this actually plays out, and the fact that if they win, that they'll have to go into any of the data sets or systems that they've used that have that information and wipe them out. I'm sure they'll find some other way around it because they seem to be like cockroaches. You just keep trying to smash them and they keep coming back. But
well, right now OpenAI is trying to make the next Twitter, so it should be fun.
Oh yeah, we just need another firing hellhole. Perfect. It's still, I absolutely love the fact, and I also hate the fact that they are causing so much damage by just people saying thank you. Like, we're just being polite.
When I read that, I was just like, I can't believe I'm reading this article that that the OpenAI founder was like, yeah, it's costing us money for people to say thank you, and we're trying to tell people stop doing that.
And I've seen so many comedians and comics and other things that always make that joke of like, why do you always tell a thank you? It's like, well, you never know. And they show like some far off future where the robots have, risen up to take over humanity. Like, no, don't kill that guy. He said, thank you. Oh God. All right. Let's jump over to the speed run. So speaking of split fiction, it's been confirmed to be coming to theaters. So it's going to be starring Sydney Sweeney, who's also an executive producer, directed by John M. Chu, and then written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. Paul Wernick being the one who wrote scripts for all 3 Deadpool movies. No word on which character that Sydney Sweeney will be playing, but I'm kind of curious how this is going to go. After that, we had Star Wars Zero Company was announced for PC.
Hold on. There's breaking news. Sydney Sweeney is doing another video game movie, don't forget.
Are you kidding me?
She's also working with Michael Bay to make an Outrun movie. So.
Oh God, I thought that was a joke.
No, it's not.
Oh God.
So Sydney Sweeney is going to be the video game actress.
I wonder if she's producing that one as well.
No, this is Michael Bay, so that means those cards are going to explode.
Oh yeah, for sure. Next up, Star Wars Zero Company was announced for PC, PS5, Series X and S, coming in 2026. This is kind of neat looking to me. It's a single-player turn-based tactics game by Bit Reactor, alongside with Respawn Entertainment and Lucasfilm Games. I finally got to watch the trailer for it right before the show, and I was like, I kind of want this. It's all set during the Clone Wars, and you're doing like all these little missions with your little group, and I kind of like the more exploration into Star Wars where not everyone's a Jedi. Like, I like digging into those worlds, which is why I need to start watching the second season of Andor, trying to get Amanda caught up on the first season so I can watch it and not feel guilty. All right, and then lastly, as we stated before, Nintendo has finally clarified that the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube controller will work with other games, but their level of compatibility will be dependent on how their controls can be adapted to the GameCube controller, which makes sense. This is just like
and not Switch One.
Oh, it won't work with the Switch One. Okay, I didn't know they confirmed that.
Because it's like a Switch 2 Pro controller. Switch 2 Pro controllers don't work with Switch One.
Gotcha.
Because it's got the chat button on top. It's probably because it's got that chat button on top of the GameCube controller. That's your go ahead that it won't work.
Yeah, the system wouldn't know what to do with it, which makes sense because you can still use the USB adapter, so you can still use a GameCube controller, and there's third-party ones and stuff, but this is the official one. But at least we know.
And now you can say, I want the GameCube controller with 2 C buttons.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's a C button, a C stick. They're not buttons.
Okay, I want one with the C stick and C button.
Yeah, 2 C things. So, yeah. All right, so let's jump over to the big question. So this is a fun one I wanted to kind of talk about with you guys. But so former PlayStation president Shuhei Yoshida recently stated with the announcement of the Switch 2 that, quote, Nintendo is losing its identity, end quote, for just making an improved follow-up system instead of, as he put it, disappointing everyone with something new. With this in mind, do you feel that the Switch 2 is Nintendo losing their identity? And how do you feel the current iterations of Xbox and PlayStation have held up for their identities as well? So, Steven, I'll start with you.
This guy's an idiot. It was already found out that he was told he either had to be the indie president or get fired and laid off from Sony. So he decided to take that indie studio president until he left. And now all the things he just seems to say are just complaining about everything. And I'll go on record and say it's basically they're pulling a Kit and Krista. They're just like, oh, now that we don't work for him, we're going to tell you all these things of what we think about them for sure, and we're going to tell you the insiders' secrets. And it's like, yeah, whatever.
There's a reason you're not there anymore.
Exactly.
In both cases.
And no, I don't feel Switch 2 is losing their identity. I think they're finally catching up to modern day. Like, you have chat, guys. It's like, okay, it's not through a phone. You have graphics that you can say, like, it'll be 60 on everything. Like, if anything, they're catching up. Nintendo games will still be Nintendo games. Nintendo will still be Nintendo in the fact that we have a game that we want to be the pack-in, and it's not. It's a $10 showcase of what the system can do.
That's some Nintendo-ass Nintendo.
That's a Nintendo thing to do, is to give you a game like that. But on the other ends, I feel that because they seem to follow trends more, I feel like Xbox and PlayStation have lost some of their edge, I want to say, because Xbox seemed to always, I don't know, get the games that were only on PC as well. So it would be like Xbox and PC are getting this, and you'd love to play it on Xbox, and it would have like exclusive features. And then PlayStation used to have like all the just like random games put together. But then when it got down to, you found out like once Sega kind of dropped out of things, it kind of hurt some of the competition, because in the beginning PlayStation said 3D is the future. We don't want 2D anything. We hate 2D games. We hate 2D sprites. And now they're like, we don't care anymore. And it just seems like Xbox is in the opportunity of, we want you to play Xbox on everything. And then PlayStation's like, we want you to play on our stuff because we have the exclusives, even though we said we wouldn't do that. And then they're like, oh, we'll also go to PC, but our ports will suck over there for some odd reason. So I don't know what Xbox or PlayStation's identities are at the moment, because I feel like Xbox is trying to take more of a mother hen approach. Like, yes, they're buying up these companies, but it seems like they're also saying this is the only way they can shine, is with our help. And Sony, whenever I watch their State of Play, it's very artsy. Like, nothing is like, oh, I didn't expect this to come to Sony. It's always like, no, this is dark, it's raining, and somebody died, so it's a PlayStation game.
Well, someone said like it's a bunch of third-person sad dad games.
Exactly. So you're just walking through like you're walking through Greece where everything's ruined and broken, and you're just like, this probably had a great history. I wish I could have seen it in its glory. And that's kind of what PlayStation is sometimes, because you're just like, why are you making these type of games, and where's your games, Sony? Are you just making baseball and Days Gone remasters and stuff like that? So it was nice to see that, like, PlayStation has Ghosts of Utah, which just had a new trailer, which I thought was a fantastic trailer. So it's like, okay, and you have Sucker Punch. You're doing the thing that Xbox did, and you're saying, we have this development studio, and they made something awesome.
Mm-hmm. I also just realized, kind of an ongoing joke, like the irony in the name of Final Fantasy, because there's been so many of them, is also the irony of a game called The Last of Us. How many times has it been redone? It's not been the last of them in a while. Chase, what about you? What's your thoughts on this?
I don't know, really. Like, I'm a huge context guy, so I don't know what the context was and what he said this as. Like,
he was on a podcast being interviewed, and he was saying that Nintendo had lost their identity because he wanted them to make something, because everybody wanted a more powerful Switch. And that's what we're getting, is a more powerful Switch. And he said that's why they lost their identity, because he wanted everyone to be disappointed with them coming with some far off, out of left field idea, like with the Wii or stuff like that. So we should not have gotten a Switch 2. We should have gotten something completely different that just dropped all of it.
Like, back then it made sense, like, even to have something be reworked to work on a lesser system or a different system.
Right.
But even the Switch 1, people were like, it's an 8-year-old Android phone type thing. Like, people were just like, it's a tired trope right now that you should kind of fall into, just since everything is getting more expensive, you have to give them the tools and the power now. You can't have somebody have to downsize it. Don't make developing harder because you're trying to introduce new things and disappointing everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Make things easier. And that's what I like to see with this one, is because they're like, it's similar architecture, even though it's not, but it's easier to develop for.
Right. Does that give a little bit of context to it? Or at least
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with him in a sense. Like, Nintendo's always like done different things, and now all of a sudden they're doing the same thing. Because I mean, like, you had the Wii, wasn't anything like the predecessor, and the Wii U wasn't anything like the Wii, and then you had, and then the Switch obviously wasn't anything like the Wii U for obvious reasons because it was a failure. But the thing is, now those Nintendo's found success, and so now they're going to like ride that success. I think is a big part of it. I kind of see what he's meaning by that, then a little bit. Like, at least that's what it sounds like to me. What he's like saying. But yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I remember. Like I grew up in wartime, so to speak, with like Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo and Sega and all that stuff. So like I kind of like I remember back when, like if you bought a PlayStation, you bought a PlayStation. If you bought a Xbox, you bought an Xbox. If you like I remember when the Wii and the X360 came out, and Peter Moore said in an interview, blatantly didn't give a fuck what anybody thought, and said nobody's going to buy a PS3, everybody's going to buy an Xbox 360 for their competitive games, and everybody's going to buy a Wii for fun. And I was just like, holy shit, somebody said this just blatantly. Like, now, like if it was like a CEO, if it was like a president today that would say that about like a competitor, you'd be like, holy crap, that dude's got balls. Because like everybody's like, oh, we think that what PlayStation's doing is great, blah blah blah, this stuff. Like nobody says anything mean about anybody anymore. It's annoying. Like I remember when Peter Moore said that, and I was like, damn, that was ballsy. He was right. He was fucking right about it too, though. Like nobody bought a PS3 except me because I'm fucking crazy, and everybody bought a 360 and a Wii. And so yeah, I think what's happened is that Sony and Microsoft have just kind of gotten into this arms race. They've beat out all the competitors. They don't give a shit anymore. And then they just kind of like do their thing. Like if you buy a PlayStation, like you're essentially you pretty much can get all your games because even Microsoft's making their games on PlayStation now. So if you get a PlayStation, you're like, sweet, I just can play whatever the fuck I want. And if you buy an Xbox, you're like, you get Game Pass, so you're like, sweet, I get to like not fucking pay for expensive ass games. Now, I don't know. It's interesting to see how companies. It's interesting to see how companies like have changed over the years. I kind of miss the days of the competition, like But I think what was it? I can't remember. Didn't they interview somebody and they actually came out and said that the whole console wars thing was total bullshit? Like it was just a way for. Well, no, it wasn't. I don't even think it was that. It was somebody actually said it was total bullshit. It was just a way that like it was something that like we did just to like generate sales. It's something companies did to generate sales at the time.
Well, I mean, blast processing was bullshit. But nobody had the time or the YouTube channel to basically blow that out of the water until now, where they're like, it's bullshit.
Yeah, but the Nintendo seal of quality was bullshit. I mean, it was nice, but it was not a guarantee of a good game.
Only on Xbox was bullshit. So it's like,
so it was only on GameCube. Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 4.
4,000.
I mean, yeah, I think I've had this conversation with Swan in the past where like I've come out and said that, like, just for reference, this whole thing is lost on me because I don't fucking travel. Like, I don't carry this thing around. I don't have a fanny pack. I don't really carry this thing fucking around with me everywhere. Like, what the fuck do you think? Like, you think I'm gonna do? Like, walk around with this thing? Like, so it's like, how about Nintendo? How about you just like make a fucking box that like plays super fucking awesome games?
No,
and stuff. And then that's what then like you got people like Swan that like apologize for like everything Nintendo does. Like, like no, it'd be terrible.
Because even Sony got into it and they were like, we made this PSPP portable because the biggest
not portable. Portal.
It's Pister 2.0, whatever. It's
system is a lie. That's how
the
portal
biggest
it is.
thing that made it for me is, yes, I play mine docked most of the time as well, but to be able to easily bring a system and a dock to a friend's house and just be like, these are the only two parts and there's not like 16 cords, or the fact that when somebody else wants to use the TV or something like that, I can still play my games
Hell, I mean,
and not
this
lose
tiny,
anything.
this is an actual dock. Like, I just took it out into a case I bought. This is an official dock, and I could just carry this with me to places to play it, which is great. But
So, I wasn't behind the things like you were seeing, Chase. Like, I'm not gonna like suddenly like take out my Switch during a basketball game. Like, oh, that was fun, guys. Now that we're sweaty and gross, let's play my system that I just paid $250, $300 for.
yeah,
And I'm not gonna be on like a rooftop of a drinking party and be like, hey, you guys want to play the Switch? It's like, it's the Switch became more akin to airplane rides and people who play board games. You could bring it over to a friend's house and you could all play easily. So I think that's where a identity became for the Switch, and kind
Yeah, and that's great.
of
But like, how many fucking airplane rides do you take in a year?
3
All right.
a week.
Well, that's different, Jeremy. You do it for work. So,
But
like, it's great for Jeremy. It's great for people like Jeremy.
It's great for me when somebody wants to play on the TV, but I want to be in the room and interact with them. I can still play on mine. I can play the
Which
game.
I'll get into mine whenever I get my answer, because
The biggest thing about Wii U is that people were like, "Oh, you can play on the toilet." No, it couldn't go that far. The length of that wireless sucked.
That's actually
So
like what
Nintendo heard you when people were like, "I want to play my system on the can." They were like,
Yeah.
"You got it, dude."
That's about as much undocked as it gets when I'm playing it. Is like, oh man, I'll just like go take a shit. So like I'll undock my Switch to like go take a shit.
Or like, here, if we have tornado sirens going on, I don't have to pause my game. I can just take it down with the shelter with me. It's things like that. It's different for each person.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go into my answer then. In regards to Nintendo losing its identity because this is a iteration on a previous system, that's Nintendo's thing. The NES became the SNES. That was an enhanced version of that. Then they switched over. You had the N64, which then became the GameCube. That's basically an enhanced version of that. Even had games that transferred over. The Wii became the Wii U. They did have differences, but they were fully compatible. Used the remotes. Like, they were an iteration of that. Game Boy Color to Game Boy Advance, DS to 3DS. Like, that's always how that goes. You usually have the success, and then there's a successor. Win or lose, that's how it goes. And then they usually on the third one will try something different. And that's kind of how Nintendo's thing is. So the Switch 2, this is exactly kind of what I expected. It still has its own unique things. No other system has got the mouse functionality, the being able to pick it up and take it with you. I know, Chase, you aren't a big fan of that, but you have the option. If you wanted right now going like, well, we're going to go on a long drive, go pick up your PS5 and try and take it with you and see how well you can play that, versus I'm going to be sitting in a car and I can play my Switch. Before the show, I was sitting at Starbucks. I like to go chill out there for a little bit, and I'm playing Xenoblade, and like that's actually letting me play RPGs and stuff more than I normally do.
Like I know you don't get it, Chase, but it's just the fact that you saw people like Valve and all these other companies make portable systems finally that came to the forefront. There wasn't just, oh, it streams games to it, but now it's like, oh no, now you can have games installed to it. So people are like, okay, now it's not a streaming device that I can take around the house. I can take it anywhere. Steam Deck, Rogue Ally,
Legion
whatever
Go.
the other claw is, Asus Claw. I don't remember.
Asus,
stuff like that. Like, because people are like, wait, I can finally take my Steam games everywhere and stuff like that.
MSI is the claw.
MSI Claw.
And I think it's come down to the point with Nintendo that this is a big part of their identity now, of being a portable system. And I don't really see them going away from that, because nothing changes. If you decide you want to leave it docked and that's how you always want to play it, you can do that. There are people that they said they've put it in their dock and they never took it back out. And that's fine. They're still playing the same games as everybody else. They're still playing with them. Then there's me. I originally was mostly docked. Now I play portable so much, which is why I ended up getting the OLED, because I wanted the screen on it. And it was, the Zelda edition. So screw me, I had to get it. But yeah, I travel more for work. I was not traveling as much when I first got it, and it's been a benefit. But like PS5 or even the Series X is never going to give me the experience I had at the airport this week, meeting a stranger. I had never talked to the guy before, and all of a sudden we're spending a couple of hours playing Smash Brothers together between two systems, having a time of my life. Like, I am the Nintendo commercial. I just fucking did it.
Yeah, I mean
I was
that's
the guy
not
that
Xbox and PlayStation Stick though. Like,
it could be,
Well,
and that's what they're
you hit
trying
it
to
on
do.
the head when you said arms race. Like
Yeah,
when something came out like 4K and HDR, like they both jumped on that bandwagon like it was like, you know, cheese on fries. They're like, this goes so well together and stuff like
yeah.
that.
The PS4 Pro and the Xbox
And
One
then,
X.
and then they specifically had the designer of the PlayStation do his own little direct where he's just like, this is all the powerful stuff you can do. Like you can make your grandmother into a car with the type of computations this thing can do now. And you're just like, all right, like you hit it on the head. It's an arms race for them.
Mm-hmm.
So while they're like neck and neck, Nintendo's just there saying what works, what are people liking, and taking down notes. So they're like, okay, people want a Discord chat, we'll make something like it. And then people are like, oh, people use Microsoft Teams and Google Meet, we'll do something like it. We'll do it our way to be it so it's a Nintendo thing. And then they're like, oh,
yeah, that's the other thing I've never been a huge fan of is all the proprietary bullshit as well. But I
it kind of
mean,
makes sense because
Apple does it as well. So
it's not just Apple, but Nintendo tried doing stuff through like letting you share pictures and stuff through Twitter, and Twitter became a absolute hellhole with everything being taken over. The voice chat thing, they tried using the app, that didn't work out really well, and they're trying to bring things more. It is a walled garden. It's not a perfect scenario, but voice chat will work how they wanted to without the other stuff. They have the app now where you can get Nintendo news without having to go through Twitter and other stuff. They're supposed to be getting an update to that to be able to do screenshots and things through it. So
they're making it so you have to use their app if you want to share to social media. So you don't just share through the system to these places. You can kind of choose where you want to share them now by having the screenshots already on your app. So that's helpful too. Xbox has done that for a while. I have to
use my phone to get my screenshots.
I've used that a lot because Blueprints, I'm taking screenshots of everything because that game is a fucking note taker.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So in bed, I can bring it up to Chris and show him my screenshots on my Xbox app and be like, "What am I supposed to do here?" Or "Did you see this before?" and stuff like that. So they're chasing the new technology first, and then sometimes Nintendo is just taking older technology and finding out what to do with it, like the mice.
That's what they've always done. I mean, Game Boy was outdated by the time it came out, but look, what it did. Like they're kings at using older tech for new functions. They don't just throw it out. They bring it in a new way.
If I have to give Xbox and Nintendo credit, is that they're still about compatibility with their games by having smart delivery or having easy to understand, at least right now, upgrade paths, not packs, paths. Sony having problems with everything from like It Takes Two, where you had to go to the product, see other versions, and then you found the PS5 version to get the upgrade when people were liking smart delivery. And then like my friend Athena has problem with the PlayStation is no third-party support for controllers. You have to buy Sony's controllers.
Yep.
So if you don't like that they're too big for your hands or too, or anything like that, you can't get a smaller controller. Switch for some reason could use so many different controllers through Bluetooth and everything that people found what controllers work best, and the manufacturers went crazy so people could find a controller for them. Xbox was the same way. Xbox, you're getting Hyperkin ones that look like the Duke and 360 controllers now that work on it, and it's just because there is that compatibility. So it's like you find your favorites.
Right.
And so I just hate it that PlayStation locks their stuff to be mostly all proprietary when it comes to accessories.
Yeah, but you got companies that are making, like Nacon makes PS5 controllers, so like they are making third party. So I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but because like Nacon makes PS5 controllers.
Yeah, but when you look at it, it will not be compatible with PS5 games.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about it. Like
because it does not have the proper functionality. So you can still buy like a fight stick and such, but it'll say you can play your Street Fighter on PS5 because the PS4 version is the same. But if you try to play something that has or needs for some reason the extra functionality of a PS5 controller, it won't work. I looked into it myself and I was like, that sucks.
Well, I've had to try and modify PS5 controllers for people with disabilities, and the way they build them on purpose so they cannot be messed with, but they don't allow, like, it took PS4 a long time before it even got any kind of wired third party.
So like look at Nacon when you see it next, and most of those say for PS4 and PS5 because yes, it works on both systems, but it will not work exclusively on PS5 games ever that need the extra functionality. It just says no.
Well, the last little bit I want to say before I actually finish my answer is like with Sony, they had like Microsoft offered and openly let them use their accessibility controller. You can use it on the Switch. People have been using it for a while now because it connects with it. But Sony actually blocked it. They would not allow it to be used. They wanted to make their own proprietary one, but then don't allow that to work on other stuff. So it's like, if you play PlayStation and you want to use accessibility, it has to be theirs, or else you're shit out of luck. And if you have
pretty
that,
bog standard though for a Japanese company.
It doesn't make it right though. But I mean, even Nintendo's a Japanese company, and they allowed Microsoft to let their stuff connect, and you can play Switch games with their adapter. People use it.
You got to remember now that an American runs the Sony company, not a Japanese person anymore. So
True.
An American's making the choices for Sony, so they're choosing to be proprietary. So I think they've gotten away from, let's be open to everybody.
But so
it took them a while to get on even the crossplay train. So
yeah, they were forced into that. But I want to go ahead and go into my answer about the identity for Xbox and for PlayStation. Xbox, as we said before, came from PC. It was all about kind of building the structure and having, everyone together with Xbox Live and bringing those exclusives over from PC and having that kind of unification. And it's, having things like Halo and Forza and those reasons to get it, because every console, I don't give a shit how much people keep saying that exclusives are not a benefit. If nothing is exclusive, your system means nothing at all. I got an Xbox because I played Halo, because I played Forza, because I played Gears. Those go to PlayStation, Xbox effectively becomes pointless to me. Game Pass, great, whatever, but then you could do that on PC and pretty much go the whole way. So Xbox and Microsoft are chasing the dollar and completely giving up their identity of Xbox. I mean, I'm already seeing a thing before the show watching the Digital Foundry about Forza Horizon 5, and they're like, yeah, this is an Xbox game that's just better on PlayStation because it supports PlayStation 5 Pro. Oh, they're adding this stuff to it that aren't on the Series X. And I'm like, so I bought your high-end system, I bought your games, but I would have been better off getting it on something else to get a more complete version. And yeah, they got it later, but like even with Indiana Jones, that was only a few months. And it feels like Microsoft's kind of losing themselves trying to get the market. They're trying to get what Sega got when they left the market, but somehow still keep it, while trying to tell people, keep buying our stuff. We're going to support everyone else. And it's a weird back and forth. They've always supported other systems. That's not a new thing. They had GBA games, DS games, they had stuff coming out for other systems, but they were picky about it. Now it feels like there's infighting between the Xbox team and Microsoft's, corporate side, kind of pushing each other back and forth. On the flip side, Sony was all about game innovation and creativity. I may not have been the biggest PlayStation fan when they first came out, but I noticed a lot of those crazy games. And I heard on the same podcast I was listening to earlier, it was the IGN one I was listening to when I was driving back. Somebody described Astrobot as the prettiest graveyard of Sony IPs, because all it was celebrating every game they don't make anymore. Like, you walk around that thing and you're like, oh, I remember that. Oh, they don't make that anymore. Oh, I remember this one. Oh crap, they don't make that one anymore. They just keep making the same things over and over again. We made the joke about depressive dad, third person depressive dad games. And that's kind of a lot of what they do. It's, third person cinematic title that feels so copy and paste to me. But Sony is sitting on their ass with their market hold over it, that they're not being risky or creating stuff. And yes, game development has gotten more expensive, But if you're going to have an option for digital downloads and so forth, there's nothing wrong with making a smaller, cheaper game that people can play. That's what I loved about Xbox Live stuff when they had, the arcade games and things like that, because you would have that creativity. It'd be download only, but you would get these smaller, fun games to play. And Sony was doing it for a while too. And it feels like that's kind of gone the wayside. Like you've got some indies, but they don't really focus on them or do much with them anymore. It's a big push on Nintendo still, but like the game you mentioned earlier, using the phones and stuff, like that's not a crazy big game. It seems really creative. Someone's trying something different. More things like that should happen. Like it makes sense to me.
We used to get that on Sony. It was called Buzz TV.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that.
I still have that one. It was hilarious.
I think that I definitely agree that not every game needs to be $200 million.
Yeah.
Not every game needs to cost $200 million. And I think that's one thing that is a gripe of mine that Sony is that they have decided to just go like the Hollywood route and everything has to be like this big tent pole type $200 million budget.
Sometimes I just want to watch a small show. Like I don't need to see a giant movie.
Like I thought it was interesting because in a podcast a while back, love him or leave him, the actual creator of God of War actually talked about how he hated the track that they've taken his character down and Kratos down in the thing, and I kind of agreed with what he said about it. Because it's like they've went the whole depressive dad route. Is that
David Jaffe?
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. He's kind of a dick, but I get it. Good, continue.
Because the whole point of Kratos was like it was just supposed to be like this like power fest where like you just rip people in half and solve puzzles and fucking like beat gods. Put that on the box. That's essentially what it was. It was rip people in half. Rip people in half, solve puzzles, and like destroy every god on the fucking planet. Like it's just it's the same reason why you get fucking Space Marine, man. Like you get Space Marine because you want to like chainsaw things in half and you want to like stomp people's heads and just feel like an ultimate badass.
Every Doom,
every Doom. It's escapism. It's like you don't want to fucking like I don't want my characters necessarily be going through the same fucking problems I have. Like
that's probably going to be the tagline for Doom: The Dark Ages because since they're changing that up, it's going to be rip people in half and solve puzzles.
Yeah,
because you literally finally have to solve puzzles in that game.
Oh, that's great.
Rip and tear, solve puzzles. I like it. Like, just give it to me, all right?
Rip and tear, the piece goes where? Okay.
How fucking weird would it be if all of a sudden Doom guy had a fucking kid and he's got to worry about like being if he's a good dad or not? Like, it'd be fucking stupid. We'd all be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Technically, he had a rabbit, but whatever.
Okay.
Doom lore gets fucking weird.
It does get.
That's a Doom gun for people. Look it up. Doom guy literally had a rabbit. It's so weird. So I think we all agree, like, Nintendo still being Nintendo, Microsoft and Sony have kind of lost their way on some of these things. They're so busy trying to get to the top, they've forgotten how to beat game companies for certain things. And I think the less competition each side has, because Sony keeps saying like, "Oh, Microsoft's making these games for us. Nintendo's not even competition," which is bullshit, by the way, because I know they're looking at those pre-order numbers going, "Fuck." And
I'll be the first to say that when Nintendo and their developers, not third party and not partners, when Nintendo themselves makes an M-rated game, they've lost their identity.
I disagree with that.
I kind of agree with Steven on that one, because the more I think about it, they've published M-rated games that they have done directly, but they don't,
unless
really
it's a new hired person that came into the company to work for Nintendo, to have suddenly a Noma say like Zelda needs to rip and tear or Mario needs to shit down.
A Zelda and a Mario or something.
I don't expect any of those developers to ever go dark on us and make some Conker's Bad Fur Day version of Mario or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think Twilight Princess was the darkest Zelda is normally going to get for a lot of that stuff. Like just
So I think it'll have dark
thematically.
fantasy themes, but it will never get a M-rated Nintendo-made game.
Yeah, because I think if
Yeah,
they
I mean,
ever did, the closest would be a Metroid. But sorry, go ahead, Chase.
well, no, I'm just saying, like, I would never say never because, like you said, they could hire, like, they could have create another studio, and then they say, like, hey, we really want to make this game or something, and
Yeah.
so I don't know that I would say never, but if all of a sudden, like, Mario was like fucking Doom guy and like just like going through and like ripping Bowser in half and like
if I shoot a fireball and you have to listen to
There's
the
probably a
Goomba
mod for that.
scream,
But
yeah, if I have to shoot a fireball and listen to the Goomba scream as it burns, I'm gonna go, I think I'm done. I think
you shoot a fireball at an X-ray, like you get an X-ray cam or something like a Sniper Elite and be like,
right through the
okay, hang on a second, hold on a second, what am I watching here? Yeah, I would feel a little bit like that would be a little bit disturbing, but also in a way like oddly cool, maybe, I don't know.
I think that would be safe for Yoshi. Like you have the little thing going up and down with the egg, and as soon as you nail it right, you see the slow motion of the egg like smash through their face.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
what I do like,
Uh-huh.
within reason, because I don't like some of the asset flips and just pure hentai on the eShop. I do like Nintendo for the most part took a hands-off approach, saying we're not going to censor anything. Like, why?
yeah.
So I was okay with at least their approval process saying like we're not going to censor it, but we're also not going to allow like an adults only like published title.
And
I do like I'll definitely say that I did like the approach that Nintendo took with the Switch, being more listening to what people actually wanted rather than telling you what you wanted. Like that used to really irritate the shit out of me.
And no region locking has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like I finally got to pick up the Okami HD for Amanda. I ended up getting a Japanese copy, but it's a physical one and it works and it's in English. So let's hope that continues with the Switch too.
Yeah, I mean, they've been like, yeah, they've definitely gotten better. Like, I don't know if many people remember, but we talk about Nintendo and lawsuits. Like, anybody remember when Nintendo tried to sue to make a video game rentals non-existent?
Yeah, that was the issue they were doing with copyright.
And they sued Galoob too for the Game Genie because you were changing our code, which is eerily like this OpenAI stuff, but it was a lot more silly in the fact of how they tried to be litigious about that. But if they weren't that litigious, we would have never got the name Kirby. So whatever.
So
that's true.
Nintendo on the Switch developed and published an M-rated game themselves. MEO, the Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club.
Oh.
So there are never say never has already come.
Never say never.
I get why they did it, and for them, it is mature not because you're ripping and tearing through stuff, but because it is an adult theme.
Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna say is like I could see them doing more of an adult theme versus the ultra violence being the reason it's an M, and that reminded me. Oh yeah, I played MEO. Like, so I mean,
it wasn't
verify.
Wasn't developed by them, but do remember that like if it wasn't for them just giving the blank check, like we wouldn't have Bayonetta 2 and 3,
and now we wouldn't have Duskbloods.
Yeah. I mean, and they helped, like I said, they've helped publish a bunch of M-rated games. Like they had some really good ones back on the GameCube, like Geist. What was the one? Well, I mean, it was. I never finished it, so that's on me. But what was the one that would mess with your sense of reality?
Eternal Darkness.
Eternal Darkness. Thank you. That was published by them, and that was a mature rated title. So they're not against the games being made. I just think it's the type of games they normally make of the Zeldas, the Marios, even Metroid, Pikmin, things like that. They focus on everybody having fun with it as part of their thing, but not completely cutting out that the other stuff can't exist. Like they used to be that way. They really did. We can't have any crosses or religious stuff, or violence has to be cut down, and it would change. So they've loosened up on that a little bit, I think, over the years, while maintaining their ability to make games for everybody. So who knows? All right, well, I think that is a good time to end that part. So All right, I think we've had a good show for today. So you can find the podcast in audio form wherever you listen to your shows, and the video version over at YouTube at our channel, Zenspath COM. Both can easily be found over on Zenspath.com as well. Zenspath.com/podcast specifically. That'll have our most recent short, our most recent episode, and the audio version you can link to download or go to Apple Podcasts or other places to get it. Leave us a review if you can to help the show grow. Leave us a like, share it with others if you can. Go ahead and leave us a comment on the podcast. That helps us out a lot. Maybe answer the big question. Let us know your thoughts. Is Nintendo kind of losing its identity with the Switch 2? And what are your thoughts on the current identity of Xbox and PlayStation over the decades? All right. Well, this has been episode 170 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast, and we're out. Peace.
Our next episode will be a code in a box.
Aren't they technically all code in boxes?